Hello everyone! So, as you know, this channel is primarily fanboy focused, something that probably won't be changing anytime soon. And for the last week and a half, I've been trying to find out exactly what I should cover for my next video. There's the Crap Gamer video, the Xbox fucking mass flagging on know it's Alex, but today, we're gonna do something a bit different. We're going to look at a movie review. Now, I'm sure you're wondering why. Well, let's just say this has to be, unironically, the worst movie review I think I have ever seen. And I really want to rip into it. So, with that out of the way, let's begin.
Nobody on the face of the earth.
Oh, sweet baby Jesus, what the actual fuck is this video template? So, before we begin, there's a few things to note. One, I want you all to keep in mind that this channel, with this editing, has almost 1 million subs.
What? What the fuck?
Yep. Why even try anymore? And two, while she says there are no spoilers in this video, she definitely spoils major parts of the movie. Not to mention, in order for me to counteract some of her arguments and gripes, I will have to spoil the movie as well. So, if you haven't seen The Suicide Squad, I'd recommend you go see it before watching. You've been warned. So, before we go full in, there is a couple things I want to bring to your attention. As you can see, she has a sort of list on the side here. Basically bullet points. Some are categorized, like the character section. But when watching this review, one thing came to my attention. Among the characters Grace Randolph didn't care for, she put Peacemaker at the top of the list. Huh, that's odd. Because I, and a lot of other people, thought Peacemaker and his dichotomy with Rick Flag and Bloodsport was genuinely the best part of the movie. She also has Harley Quinn in this category as well. Now, I also really didn't care for Harley in this movie, but something tells me her reasoning is a tad different than mine. It's just a hunch.
Tried harder to like this movie than me. In fact, just the other day when I was talking about its initial Rotten Tomatoes score.
Oh, you're the type of person who actually puts Rotten Tomatoes in high regard. That explains a lot.
I said I didn't see any way I would ever give this a Rotten Tomato because I felt the actors were just doing too good a job from the trailers and I liked certain elements of it.
Well, I mean, just because actors do a good job and you like certain elements to a film doesn't mean the film can't be bad. I mean, the Star Wars sequel trilogy is a prime example of that. Oscar Isaac and John Boyega do their best with the material they're given, and the films do look pretty, but they're still dogshit movies. Not to mention, what merits a Rotten Tomato? Wait, what? Okay, so I went to the Rotten Tomato site's About section, and apparently, when 60% of reviews are positive, it's a fresh status, whereas under 60% it's rotten? Why is it percentage based? Why isn't it a standard number system, 1 to 10 with 5 being average, or 1 to 5 with 3 being average? Who fucking uses this unironically? Oh, right.
So imagine my surprise.
Jesus Christ. Okay, I'm sorry I keep pausing the video here, but I mean, for fuck's sake, Grace. You clearly know how layers work, seeing how the emoji is underneath the text, but above the poster. But you can't shrink down the Beyond the Trailer Rotten Tomatoes score image so it's not overlapping with your webcam and the main poster? There's a lot of dead space I'm seeing, and it gets worse the more I look at it. Why isn't your webcam at the very top right, so there isn't a weird line between it and the video border? You could move your Twitter handle lower and then just drag the Beyond the Trailer image so it fits nice and neat under your cam and next to the poster. Like, these are things that take literally 30 seconds to do. But I guess when you're on a daily upload schedule, effort takes a back seat, doesn't it?
As the movie unfolded before me, and I realized I was just so disappointed about it, but that there was no way that I could not give this a Rotten Tomato.
Interesting. So as the film went on, you felt that despite the actors giving their all, it wasn't enough to save the movie. You know what's funny? I really enjoyed this film. In fact, I'd say it's the first DCEU film I genuinely enjoyed in years. But the plot has serious problems, and the amount of plot armor some characters have rivals The Last of Us 2's. So if I were to give it a score, from an analytical, objective standpoint, it would be a 4 for me. Just below average. But from an enjoyment level, I think I'd give it like a 7 or an 8. As the film knows what it is, it doesn't try to be deeper than it is. Like other DCEU films. Yeah.
I just have too many problems with it taste-wise. I'm gonna give this a very fair review.
Sometimes foreshadowing is relatively obvious.
But I don't want to fight with anybody. So here's the compromise I'll make with you guys. I've decided not to give this film a tomato at all.
Then why even bring up the score, Grace? Now that's a minute of your video that could have been taken out. But no, you left it in. First you say, I can't see myself giving this a Rotten Tomato score. Then you say, I can't not give it a Rotten Tomato. But now you're saying you aren't giving it a score at all? Jesus Christ, Grace, look, you need to look over your videos before you publish them. For the love of God.
Because my Rotten Tomato would not change the score that much.
Wait, that's the reason you won't give a score? Because it won't affect the overall total?
Bitch, are you dumb?
Pardon me?
Are you dumb?
I think she's
I
dumb.
think she's dumb.
I think she's dumb.
I think
Are
you're
you,
dumb.
like, medically speaking?
You realize this system is collective, right? No one person can change it single-handedly, so even if it was lower, your score wouldn't have any effect by itself.
And it's just not worth the headache?
No, it's too late for that, Grace. You already gave it a Rotten Tomato earlier in the video. If you didn't want people to know what your final score was, you would have removed the parts of the video where you said what score you'd give it.
Of being one of the only handful of negative reviews, and I don't want to give thought to the narrative that some people have come up with, which is ridiculous, that I have like a personal vendetta against this movie.
Well, you say that now, but some of the things you say later in the review say otherwise.
I mean, I honestly don't care. So enjoy your high score. I don't want to take that away from you. I don't want to rain on anyone's parade, but I do feel that I have a responsibility to point out that this parade, I believe, appeals to a smaller group.
Jesus Christ, woman, either lower the gain on your mic or get a goddamn pop filter. They're like $10 on Amazon.
Then Warner Brothers and the initial Rotten Tomato score would lead everyone to believe. I thought I was going to love this movie based on that high RT score.
Well, maybe you shouldn't put your trust in review scores, as critics and audiences alike can be fucking retarded at times. But you would know all about that, wouldn't you?
I thought it was going to be amazing. I was telling people to go see it.
Wait, you were telling people to go see the movie before you even saw it yourself? Why? You had no idea if the movie was going to be good or not. Man, talk about a peak consumer mindset. Jesus, fuck.
I'm going to watch it again with you in the watch-along. Maybe now that I know what's coming, that'll make it a little bit more digestible. And there are really good moments in it that I'm excited to see again.
I can't imagine a worse hell than that, so I think I'm a pass.
But I am curious to see just exactly how many people love this movie.
I mean, you literally have the answer right there on the screen. According to the Rotten Tomato score, which you hold in high regard, I remind you, is at 96%. In other words, a lot of people love this movie, so I don't know what you're smoking. Unless that's the critic score? I don't know, it's hard to tell when it's cropped like that.
One of you in the UK, where this movie opened last Friday, DM'd me the other day. And, you know, nobody wants to talk about this publicly because so many people want this movie to succeed, which is cool. Again, that's awesome. Have your day in the sun. Enjoy it.
Don't ask questions. Just consume product and then get excited for next products.
But it means that I think a lot of people who maybe don't care for the movie are probably just going to keep it to themselves. So this person told me that at the movie theater where they work, a lot of people have been walking out.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a citation for that one, Grace.
And I was like, what? I got that DM before I saw the movie. And I just couldn't believe it. I was like, the trailers, they look pretty good, right? I haven't loved them, but I thought they had nice moments.
I mean, the 2016 Suicide Squad movie had good trailers, and look how that turned out.
I was intrigued by the high RT score like the rest of you.
No, Grace. Most of us don't give a shit about Rotten Tomatoes. Well, maybe your audience does. They definitely seem to like terrible content.
And I was kind of coming around on the movie. I was really liking the posters. I was like, you know what? This might be a fun ride after all. But then while watching the actual movie...
Jesus Christ, can you pitch your voice any higher? This is so fucking grating to listen to, and we haven't even gotten to the terrible parts yet. How the fuck are almost 1 million people subbed to this? who listens to this unironically thinks, yeah, this sounds alright.
I was like, yeah, I could see how people could walk out on this. I could definitely see it.
So you just aren't going to provide evidence that people were walking on the Suicide Squad, are you? Because the only evidence you have currently is the word from some Britbong you don't even know, and have no idea if he's even telling the truth. Wow, Grace, you are just the paragon of integrity, aren't you?
I still think that the film will do incredibly well on HBO Max.
Jesus Christ, just look at the screen, everyone. If there are people who are just listening to this in the background, I implore you to look at the screen right now and just see how much of a mess her editing is. She has the tomato score clipping over her webcam that could very easily fit underneath in all that dead space. She still has the exit sign on screen even though she's no longer talking about the supposed walkouts. Like, Jesus, I'm no expert at editing, but I am leagues ahead of this graphic design is my passion looking ass.
It's very hard for me to walk out on a movie. I believe I've maybe walked out on 1 or 2 movies, but other people will walk out on movies. So I think you have to understand the type of person that's being described here. It's not going to be a hardcore fan. A hardcore fan's going to want to see this through to the end no matter what.
Unless the product they're viewing is so blatantly insulting to the fans. What you're describing isn't a hardcore fan, Grace. It's a fanboy. And I know a thing or two about fanboys.
They want to know exactly what, you just see how it ends, see the whole thing. But there are other people who are more willing to do that, more casual fans. And so I think that might be that demographic.
Jesus Christ, we are 1/6 through with this review, and we still haven't gotten to talking about the goddamn movie yet. Just get on with it!
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
But anyway, as I said, I still think this film will do very well on HBO Max. I think, in fact, it's designed to do incredibly well on HBO Max.
What? What does that mean, Grace? Wait a minute. Wasn't this film in development before COVID hit? Yeah, right here on the wiki, filming began in September of 2019. So more than likely, they were planning for it to be theaters only, as most movies were before, only to be sidelined by COVID-19, and thus having to make the decision to put it on HBO Max. Boy, I can't wait to hear how you think it was made for HBO Max when it clearly wasn't.
Partially, well, I think actually especially, because you can screenshot stills and scenes from the movie and share them on social media.
I don't even... Grace, you realize people can do that with trailers and set photos and movie clips uploaded to YouTube, right? This isn't something exclusive to the Suicide Squad. How do you think people have been reviewing movies and videos before? Do you think they were given the film by the studios beforehand? Just answer me this, Grace. Just how retarded are you? Honestly speaking.
For instance, I am fairly confident that John Cena's bulge and tighty whities will trend.
Well, that came out of nowhere. Well, it's only been 3 minutes and 49 seconds since we started this train wreck, and we still have yet to talk about the film. You know, part of me wants to fast forward, but the other part wants to watch the disaster unravel slowly.
Because it leaves absolutely nothing to the imagination. Some of you, I tweeted about this, and some of you said, oh, look at John Cena in these tight pants. And I was like...
Okay, so there's already photos of John Cena in tight pants on the internet, so why would it trend, Grace? Then again, Twitter is home to some of the biggest morons I've ever seen, so who the fuck knows at this point?
You ain't seen nothing yet, especially because the camera gets right in there. And I saw it in IMAX. It was a little bit like how with Watchmen, the movie, everyone just focused. It became the blue junk movie.
That's not true at all. No one remembers Watchmen as the blue junk movie. In fact, I want to say the scenes where Dr. Manhattan's Manhattan is out and about makes up like 2 or 3 minutes at the most. Grace, you can't just say statements like that without quantifying them. Oh, and surprise, surprise, the only reason she gave for the film being made for HBO Max is that you can screen cap. Jesus fucking Christ, we're never gonna be done with this video, are we?
But because I think it was handled better in the television show.
That one didn't age quite so well.
Nothing about the Watchmen show was handled well, Grace. Let's not get crazy here.
Yeah, that was not the focal point of, even though they still had the full frontal nudity there.
Like Zoink Scoob, I think she's got an extra chromosome. Ruh-roh, Raggy, retard!
It wasn't the focal point of the movie either, you dumb bitch! What is going on here? I thought this was a movie review for Suicide Squad, but here we are talking about Rotten Tomatoes, HBO Max, Men's Junk, and I don't even know what the hell is going on anymore.
Ladies and gentlemen, I think my brain just committed suicide.
You know, it was, I think, done much better and therefore was received much better. We'll see. I'm sure that people will snapshot that and share it all over social media. The movie is full of record-scratching moments. That's how I would describe it, including...
Finally! The Promised Land! We are finally gonna talk about the movie! Jesus Christ. Just getting to this point felt like a fucking marathon. And it only gets worse from here, folks. I hope you have alcohol ready.
Full frontal nudity, male, quickly, male and female. Well, no, just topless women, because of course it does.
What does that mean, Grace? Why are you saying that like it's a bad thing there are topless women in an R-rated movie? Weren't you just objectifying John Cena mere minutes ago? Not to mention, you just stated there's full frontal for men too, so what's the issue here?
Oh, at one point in the movie, they have to go to a female, a gentleman's club, let's say.
Yes, gentlemen's clubs generally have topless women, Grace, so I ask again, what's the problem here?
Very crude discussions. Like, here's an example. At one point, a character says he would love a rat up his butt. So that's just a sampling of the dialogue.
Wow, way to ruin the joke, Grace. For anyone wondering, here's the clip.
You are perceivably panicked. I'm guessing that you are not the alphas of this battalion.
Do you want a dozen angry rodents crawling up your ass?
My handsome man will be what you expect.
Once again, maybe it's her demeanor or way of speaking, but I can't tell if she considers this a negative or not. And if she does, I have to wonder if she's seen any James Gunn movie outside of Guardians, because his movies are generally crude and over-the-top violent.
Over-the-top gore. I actually had to look away several times.
So do you just not do any research on movies, Grace? Because if you looked up why Suicide Squad was rated R, you would see here its rating is due to, and I quote, strong violence and gore, language throughout, some sexual references, drug use, and brief graphic nudity. I will admit, the gore is insane in this movie, so if you have a weak stomach for this kind of thing, I would recommend skipping this film. But you should have done your homework, Grace, especially if gore isn't your thing.
At a point, you started to realize when it was coming, and I was like, I don't want to see that. So I would look away a couple of times. Tons of innocent people killed. I'm surprised that more people aren't making a comment about that, especially because almost all of them, I'd say 99%, are impoverished people of color.
The first question that comes to mind that I want to ask is, why?
What the fuck does that have to do with anything? 1. It's a fictional movie, Grace. It isn't real. 2. No shit innocents die. Did you see what goes on at the end of that movie? If no innocents died during the entire final battle, that would be as insane as Zack Snyder saying only 5,000 people died during the climactic battle of Man of Steel. And 3. Why does their race even factor in? Are you saying if they were rich white people it would be okay? They'd still be innocent, Grace. Try not to trip over the mental gymnastics you just made.
Who have no agency in their lives within the film.
I'll take what is an extra for 500, Alex.
And I think they correlate with people in real life who have no agency, and that's a problem.
I'm retarded?
Excuse me? Can I hear that again, please?
And I think they correlate with people in real life.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard. At no point in your rambling, incoherent response were you even close to anything that could be considered a rational thought. Everyone in this room is now dumber for having listened to it. I award you no points, and may God have mercy on your soul.
Holy shit, Grace, are you actually saying innocents dying in a fictional movie are connected to real innocents dying in the world? Fuck you! I got nothing witty to say here, just actually for real. Grace Randolph, go fuck yourself. I am surprised the dislike meter isn't higher after hearing that.
And also, they certainly have no agency as characters in the film. They're all secondary or extras.
I mean, duh, there's literally hundreds of them. And the movie is called The Suicide Squad, not The Innocents Who Get Slaughtered by an Alien, you stupid fuck. Using this line of thinking, how do you enjoy any movie? I bet you were fuming at the end of Infinity War, considering the innocents killed there is astronomically higher than it was here.
You know, they don't even have the benefit of having lines, and for the most part.
You have a lot of nerve being alive.
And there's no repercussions for their murders. They're like, oh, it's crazy, this is our bad, and you're like...
Okay, so there's a couple scenes here she could be talking about, but before we get into that, Grace, the main characters are not good guys. Did you miss the part where they were in prison and were being blackmailed to participate in this Black Ops mission? But going back to the scenes, there's the first scene where they believe Rick Flag has been captured by the enemy and Amanda Waller gives them the go-ahead to deal with extreme prejudice, only to find they were actually the resistance group, and they accidentally killed their allies, as a result, losing an advantage. So no, there's repercussions for that. And the second part is with the fight against Starro, where Starro takes control of people with many versions of himself, which cannot be removed without killing the subject. So, what do you expect them to do in that situation, Grace? The movie itself literally explained, once the starfish are connected, you're fucked. But remember guys, she's giving this film a fair review. She totally doesn't have a vendetta against this movie.
You just murdered all those people. Human torture.
Yes, the villains do villainous things, that's correct.
So, wow, some of that stuff I will not unsee. Animal cruelty. That was the one that surprised me. I did not need to know what birds screaming sounded like, but I do now.
Yes, once again, Grace, bad guy does a bad thing. Shocking, I know. This isn't Care Bears, it's an R-rated anti-hero film. What were you expecting?
Political commentary, which I thought was sloppily handled, and some lead characters doing shockingly reprehensible things.
Uh-oh, retard alert! Retard alert, class!
Grace, they are not good guys! What part of this fucking concept are you just not grasping?
So, I think people are going to talk about this movie, which of course will benefit it on social media.
No shit, you fucking mongoloid, but not for the reasons you think, because normal people are able to distinguish the difference between fiction and reality.
And quite frankly, if you find some of these things offensive, as I did...
Sorry, honey, but movies don't have to cater to your fragile mindset, and are free to showcase offensive imagery if need be. Would you lambast 12 Years a Slave or Schindler's List for offensive imagery? No, but maybe that's an unfair comparison. So how about Tarantino's Django Unchained, which has a lot of offensive speaking imagery, but it fits the time period and is there for a reason. You realize humanity isn't all sunshines and rainbows, right?
I don't think you're going to want to talk. You're not going to want to join the conversation. You're not going to argue about it. There's nothing to argue about. You're like, you know what? Just not for me. So I do feel that the majority of the conversation will be positive. I'm just curious to see what the breakdown is. I'm very curious to see what the audience scores are theatrically, like the cinema score. I suspect the RT audience score will be I'm not sure, maybe in the 80s. And then I'm very curious to see what the box office looks like, not only opening weekend, but what those second and third weekend drops look like. This really boils down to a matter of taste. In a moment, I'm going to talk about how well the film is made. It's very well made.
Well, that's going to depend on what you mean by well made. Because visually, it looks good, and the set and costume design is on point, but the plot? Yeah, there's a lot of problems, save for some great character work. But I just have an inkling that you aren't going to talk about the plot and the writing, are you?
And what your threshold is for questionable behavior, and how serious you take the topics at hand.
You clearly take them way too seriously and may want to see a psychologist, because no normal person looks at this film through the lens you do.
For instance, some people might feel that the movie deserves credit just for bringing these things up, and it just, it hints at the wider discussions that these serious topics imply. But others, like myself, might feel that it's irresponsible to play these things for laughs.
I never thought I could be so stupid, but I found a way, Irresponsible. That's right, folks. Big-brained Grace Randolph thinks it's irresponsible for this movie to deal with mature subject matter the way it does. Why? I don't think I need to say anything here. That statement is so monumentally asinine that no normal person can hear that and think that's correct. It really makes you think how many of her subscribers actually listen to what she's saying.
I don't think there's anything funny about a lot of the stuff here. And then also to touch on them so lightly that one could argue that it borders on irresponsible. Like, if you're going to go there, you need to go there, in my opinion.
Fuck you!
Also, if someone put a team together
I don't like where this is going.
of Jeffrey Dahmer, or Ted Bundy,
No.
Ed Gein,
Please, lady, you don't understand. You don't know what you're doing here.
that's who Norman Bates is based on, and much worse in real life, and John Wayne Gacy, you just couldn't root for them.
I mean, if they were the only thing standing between me and the big sleep, I could. You realize you can root for bad people if they're doing heroic things, right? Like, none of the characters in Suicide Squad are good guys, which I apparently have to keep bringing up, but no one's gonna be like, no, you don't get to save me because you're a meanie bo beanie. Also, the movie's fucking fictional, so stop making these real-life comparisons, you slack-jawed idiot!
No matter how well the movie was made, and I thought way too often the movie slipped into that territory, where that's really kind of what I felt I was watching. Now, as I said, the film is incredibly well made. It's extremely well made. From a craft perspective, it's flawless.
No, it isn't. The rain scene and the Harley Quinn escape scene alone disprove that.
From the directing to the cinematography to the VFX. So good!
You realize writing is a part of filmcraft, right? You can't just ignore it and then say the filmcraft is flawless.
James Gunn has a ton of clever, thrilling visuals here, and some of them are just downright gorgeous. The rain? That was gorgeous!
And probably one of the worst scenes from a writing standpoint, because one, the fact that the rain came in right as they were arriving is incredibly convenient to an absurd degree. And two, I'm sorry, but since when does rain completely drown out everything around it? Even with fog, it's never this insane. Like, they step out of the bus and it's like they're transported to a different dimension. Literally would have made more sense if they smoke bombed the area instead. Like, visually, yeah, it's a cool shot, but Jesus, it's just so contrived in its execution.
Some of the jokes, as we know from the trailers, are not great, but you've actually seen pretty much all the jokes in the film.
No, you literally haven't. She is categorically wrong on this point. The weasel joke isn't in the trailer, neither is the rodent joke or Bloodsport's fear of rodents, the betting pool Waller's employees have, Pete Davidson getting his face opened up like a Christmas present, probably the funniest he's ever been. Fucking every scene with Milton? Just because you don't like them, Grace, doesn't mean they aren't jokes.
The soundtrack is also very well used. We start with the Johnny Cash song. I had such high hopes at that point. I was like, oh man, this is gonna be good.
Are you a child, Grace? Ooh, they used a Johnny Cash song! I clapped when I heard Johnny Cash come on! Man, I bet you loved the first Suicide Squad then, right? Oh, who am I kidding? She probably unironically did.
The soundtrack is very well used, much like Guardians of the Galaxy. This is very Guardians of the Galaxy. It's like...
Really? Wow! Good deduction there, Sherlock. You know, it's almost as if they were made by the same director. Huh.
Through James Gunn's, I think, true sensibilities without Marvel holding him back. And some of you will think that that's fantastic. So again, as I said, it's an issue of taste. The script, well, you can see I have some issues with it, but it does feature some very clever twists. It plays with time in an interesting way.
Huh? What the hell are you talking about? There's no time shenanigans in this film, Grace. Are you okay? Did your brain finally break down trying to comprehend the idea of writing?
And it handles a very large cast very nicely, and I think it gives almost every character their due. The first act is thrilling in moments and how it sets everything up. I was like, oh, this could be pretty cool. At that point, I still felt maybe pretty good about it. And the third act, while the most vile,
Oh, blow it out your ass, you fucking pearl-clutching troglodyte.
was also, I think, the most interesting, dynamic-wise. And it's some of my favorite moments in the third act. Also, some of the characters finally get their hero on in the third act, and that made them more likable.
I mean, yes, Grace, that's how character arcs work. I don't know if you know that.
The acting is excellent across the board. Everybody delivers exactly what is asked of them in a very strong manner. Very, very good. And I like some of the characters quite a bit. Some of them I did not like, but let's start with the ones who I did.
Jesus Christ, do you have no regard for your audience's ears, Grace? You don't have to pitch your fucking voice that high, and if you do, as I said before, lower the fucking gain on your mic.
Idris Elba's Bloodsport. The man can do anything. He just oozes cool. He looked so great in his uniform. He was fantastic. Every single moment he was on screen, I'm like, why is he not a movie star?
Wait, what? What? I'm sorry, the wording was so strange it caught me off guard. Are you asking why isn't Idris Elba a movie star? Because you know he is, right? Are you talking about the character Bloodsport? You realize he's a contract killer, right? Why would he be a movie star? Because he's cool? I genuinely don't understand the thought process here.
He really should be. David Dastmalchian's Polka Dot Man. Oh, wow. Very interesting take on his powers and visually stunning. They were very cool. I would never imagine you could do so much with Polka Dot Man, but James Gunn did. Although, I thought his dynamic with his mother, while intentionally disturbing, it came across as a bit misogynistic. A lot in the way that it was, Quentin Tarantino made it seem okay that Brad Pitt murdered his wife.
What? 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 What?
In what fucking universe was that misogynistic, you harpy? Did you completely miss the part where Polka Dot Man explained the reason why he sees everyone as his mother is trauma from being experimented on by her in Star Labs? You know, I bet if it was his father he saw everyone as, she would have no problem with it. You're letting your biases infect your review, Grace. You gotta learn to rein it in.
I just want to explain it, because some people just don't get it.
Yeah, you're right. We don't. Because it's fucking absurd to make such a retarded statement.
I think that there's something that some guys do that if a woman disagrees with them, I mean, Polka Dot Man's mother did some horrible things in the movie, without a doubt. But I think there's a flavor to it that if a guy doesn't like something that a woman does or says, it's okay to vilify her.
Shut the fuck up.
She vilified herself when she experimented on her children because she wanted them to be superheroes, you fucking retard! Oh my fucking god! Did you also miss the part where all of Polka Dot Man's siblings died as a result of the experiment? Jesus God, you are making ridiculous leaps in logic to justify your idiotic stance. But oh no, can't show a woman being capable of evil things. That would be offensive. Go fuck yourself.
And, you know, there's the issues of perspective and opinion, and there's just, I think the way the mom was portrayed is just trying to be the most disgusting thing that they could come. It was, I don't know. It was just a feeling I had from it.
You're so fucking brain dead, cadavers are jealous of your lack of brain power.
I still love the character. Joel Kinnaman was much better here as Rick Flag. I actually liked him here. I thought he came across very much as a leader. And he has probably, I would say, one of, if not the best scenes of his career in the third act.
Honestly, I'm inclined to agree. He did a fantastic job with the character, and his rivalship with Peacemaker results in the absolute best part of the movie, and I cannot recommend to see this film enough just for Joel Kinnaman's role.
I mean, I have to like his performance for that alone. And what a breakthrough performance for Daniela Melchior. She and her right-hand rat, Sebastian, actually made me feel not so bad about rats, which is incredible. And she has one flashback scene with Taika Waititi, which was incredibly brief, but was by far and away one of, if not the most powerful moments in the film. It was, and what it said, I mean, that was great. That was just stunning. So good. Pete Davidson.
Okay. Really? Really? Pete Davidson? Jesus Christ.
He's hardly in the movie at all, but when he is,
Finally gets what he deserves by having his face blown off?
I'm the one who called you.
he does a fantastic job, and he is just an excellent fit with the Suicide Squad brand. I thought he should have been able to. They should have given him more to do. He was very good.
No. That would have made the film much worse if he was in it more than he was.
Now, here's who I did not care for. John Cena's Peacemaker.
Wow, really? That is actually unbelievable. This was probably John Cena's best performance as of late, and I thought he was a fantastic character. I can't wait to see why you didn't like him.
Whoa, what a disaster. Not only as a character, but I think it's a career choice for John Cena.
Excuse me? I genuinely don't see how you can see this movie, watch John Cena's performance, and see the clashing ideals of the character with Bloodsport and Rick Flag, and come to the conclusion that it was a disaster. You're gonna have to try really hard to sell me on this, Grace, but I'm gonna be honest, I don't think you have the smarts to do it.
This character was absolutely not only disgusting, but disturbing.
Yes, he is what's known as an antagonist, Grace, a person who stands in the way of the protagonist in storytelling. Also, once again, he's a villain! Or did this scene not clue you in to the type of character he is?
That's where they hold him flat. Nothing like a bloodbath to start the day.
They call you Peacemaker.
I cherish peace with all my heart. I don't care how many men, women, and children I need to kill to get it.
And irredeemable. Like, I can't believe he's getting his own show.
Really? You can't believe it. Why? Because you didn't like him? He's still a well-written character, Grace, with an interesting set of principles. Peacemaker has a strong sense of justice. He strongly believes that peace is worth fighting for, but he takes that ideal to its absolute extreme. He is someone who cannot let his personal feelings get in the way of peace, even if it means having to do heinous shit, as we see in the third act of the film. Are you really gonna tell me there's nothing to explore with this character? Nothing that can make an interesting story? You know, if every character in every story was virtuous and goody-goody, there'd be no interesting storytelling. As flawed or even irredeemable characters can make for some interesting and well-made content. Look at Joker, Nightcrawler, Breaking Bad, or even Peaky Blinders. These movies and shows features characters that are either irredeemable by the end, or incredibly flawed and complicated. And I think it's important to be able to explore the psyche of these characters. How much can Arthur take before he becomes a product of his surroundings? What is it exactly that turns a family man like Walter White into a ruthless drug lord? How far will Lewis take his actions for his career? But if we had it your way, Grace, we wouldn't have stories like this, I feel. Because you can't get past the fact that not every piece of media has to have you approve of the character, especially if its intention is to be a character study. I know I went off on a bit of a tangent here, but it's just so frustrating to see people like this be so adamantly against having flawed or even villainous characters. With all that said, let's get back to the video.
He is who I would think will be the last character to get a spin-off show off of this movie. By the time the movie was over, I absolutely hated him.
You're supposed to hate him by the end, you fucking retard. That doesn't make him a bad character. Jesus fucking Christ, you people.
I just hated him. And I'm really curious to see how John Cena's fans react to him playing this character.
Well, most people are adults and can handle seeing their favorite actors play villainous roles, so I don't think there's going to be much backlash. But remember guys, she doesn't have a vendetta against this movie. It's not like she spent the whole time fabricating things that didn't happen and unfairly shaming characters for being what they were written to be. Oh no, this is a totally fair review. What a joke.
If I was his agent, I'd be like, I would not touch this. I would not do this. This is a mistake for you.
If you were his agent, you would have killed his movie career because you can't keep your personal politics from influencing your opinion on movies. Once again, I cannot believe this video has a positive like to dislike ratio. Yes, there are a lot of dislikes, but I am convinced that most people that like this video either weren't paying attention to what she was saying, or they're just as batshit insane as she is.
It's just appalling. So appalling.
The only thing appalling here is this dog shit video.
Alright. Alright, it has to be seen to be believed. Because you won't believe that John Cena is willing to do the horrible things that they have Peacemaker do. Then, with both Harley Quinn and King Shark, I much prefer the animated versions, who are fantastic, by the way. I love that show. Here, they're both portrayed as really stupid, which I really do not care for.
That's not a criticism, Grace. You can't just say they're stupid and leave it at that. A better reason would be the fact that Harley is useless and annoying in 90% of the scenes she's in. Like, honestly, if you take out all of her scenes, it has no real effect on the movie. I mean, you could argue that her using the staff to pierce Starro's eye helped, but I don't know. The way the rats were gnawing on his legs with ease tells me they wouldn't have had a problem piercing his eye. Besides, as someone who's also watched the Harley Quinn show, she's just as much an idiot in that show as she is in this movie, so there's no discrepancy here. Besides, don't you dare insult Best Boy Nanaue. I won't stand for that slander.
And I was disappointed, so disappointed to see that Harley Quinn once again is defined by how the opposite sex sees her.
What the fuck are you talking about? Did we watch the same movie? That entire sequence is about her breaking out of her previous abused self and learning to watch the warning signs so that she never falls into another Joker situation again. As I said, I don't like Harley in this movie, but this take is just flat out wrong.
With some weird Prince and the Showgirl routine that they decided to do. Harley Quinn is not supposed to be a twisted version of Marilyn Monroe, and this is the second time that it's been done. It's not the right path to go down, and it just shows a basic misunderstanding of the character.
Okay, then answer me this, Grace. What is Harley supposed to be? Because I have never seen a character be in 3 whole movies and be as inconsistent as Harley is. From Suicide Squad 2016 to Birds of Prey to this film, Harley is a completely different character in all 3, despite supposedly being the same Harley in all of them. I don't know, maybe Harley's just a character that can't be adapted to a live version very well because she's such a blank slate. I mean, she originated as simply Joker's girlfriend in the animated series, and didn't gain real agency for a while. And even now, where she has her own show and 3 movies she's in, she still feels like a character that just does whatever the script and director needs her to do. Like, let's be clear here too. I think Margot Robbie does a fantastic job with the material she's given. It's just the writing feels so amateur compared to other characters. Even King Shark has more depth in this movie than Harley Quinn does. And I think there could have been room for something more interesting on the character. And I think there could have been room for a more interesting take on Harley's character with Rick Flag. I mean, it feels like they were hinting at something with them. Not a romance exactly, but like a sense of camaraderie. Especially with how happy she is when she sees Rick Flag and he tells her they were there to rescue her, despite them not needing to for the mission. And with the scene where she kills the prince guy and is explaining that even if she could have been happy with him, she's learned to watch for warning signs in men and decided to never get into that situation again. I don't know, maybe I'm overthinking it, but if you were to ask me, using only the 3 movies she's in, who is Harley Quinn supposed to be, I wouldn't know what to tell you. I definitely wouldn't think she's a Marilyn Monroe knockoff, but hey.
Also, Harley has taken so much abuse from men at this point, she is ready to try something different and fall in love with Poison Ivy in the DCEU.
There's no mention of Poison Ivy anywhere in this film, so I don't know why you even brought it up. And as I just said, she's learned to watch for warning signs and will no longer take the abuse. Seriously, I haven't seen this movie since it released, but apparently I've retained more of the film than you have, and as far as I know, you made this video immediately after seeing it.
And I will be very upset if that is the next step for the character. I mean, if anything good were to come of this movie, it's that she's ready. I think that Poison Ivy would be so wonderful for her to meet right now. They've teed her up. She's ready to go.
That has literally nothing to do with the film itself, so I have no idea why you even bothered to bring this up.
And I'm upset that the DCEU won't do that. I'm so happy that the animated series has taken that step. Harley Quinn has some nice moments here, she does, but she disappears for very long periods of the film, even though she has been sold as one of its leads.
Honestly, yeah, it kind of makes you wonder why they even bother to include her character.
Harley Quinn, to be fair, is an extremely difficult character to get right. They still haven't been able to do it in the comic, and so many writers have tried at this point. They just can't get it right. But the animated series has gotten it right. I can't wait. The comic, I think, comes out this month. They have a spin-off comic as well.
I don't give a shit. Talk about the fucking movie. Stop going on these tangents that have no bearing on the actual film, for fuck's sake. We have been here for 44 fucking minutes.
And I really wish they would bring in that writing team to handle her live action appearances going forward, because this is just getting ridiculous. We're 3 movies in. Viola Davis is Amanda Waller. Now that surprised me because at the beginning of the film, she was absolutely fantastic. I was like, wow, what a power player. But in the third act, talk about misogynistic.
You're a fucking idiot.
Remember, guys, she doesn't have a vendetta against this movie. She's gonna give it a fair review.
I don't know why they chose to do this. She was so humiliated, and she took it, that I was shocked. Amanda Waller would never take what happens to her.
She didn't take it! Jesus, how are you so consistently wrong in this video? So, for those who don't know, during the third act, when Starro is released, the squad is ordered by Amanda Waller to leave as it is not their problem. But they refuse to, and decide they just can't walk away from this even under the threat of death. They're not about to let this monster kill these innocents. So Amanda Waller starts screaming at them over the comms, threatening to blow up the chips in their necks, and is about to do so when her co-workers, after seeing how ruthless and cruel she's been throughout the movie, they blindside her with a lamp, knocking her out and taking control of the situation. How is being hit from behind taking it, Grace? You colossal fucking idiot. You know what? No. I'm done. I'm done with this video. No more. I can't stomach any more of her terrible arguments and mental gymnastics. She goes into how Starro is bad because you can't remove the mini ones once they're attached, unlike the comics, and even though that, raises the stakes. But I'm gonna be honest, I have been working on this video for too long, and I just can't take it anymore. This is, without a shadow of a doubt, the worst video I have covered. Never have I seen a person so unable to put aside their personal biases to fairly review a movie. I don't know how you have almost 1 million subs, Grace, but if I were you, and I uploaded this dreck, I would be ashamed. You should be ashamed, Grace, that this is the quality you give to your fans. Anyway, on Monday, we're going to have a 420 subscriber special livestream where my friends and I will be playing a critically acclaimed masterpiece survival game. So look forward to that. As always, to stay up to date on all things Crab, you can follow me on Twitter via the link in the description. And I'll see you all in the next video.